All right, good morning, grade 7. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about um, plot, subplot, and how those two elements work together, and the way in which setting and character develop or add to the plot and subplot as elements of a narrative. Now, understanding that the plot, and when we talk about plot, we've talked about the elements of the story, wherein plot contains the antecedent material, the initial incident, the rising action, which is made up of various complications, the climax, where the greatest intensity of events occurs, basically where the conflict is resolved, the falling action, and the denouement, wherein all of the loose ends are all tied up. Understanding that this is what we're talking about when we talk about plot. Now, when we talk about a narrative, particularly long narratives, we're talking about more than just one storyline. This is where one talks about subplot. And so understanding that a subplot is a smaller story within the bigger overarching frame of the narrative. Now, that subplot usually is designed to do a couple of specific things, and it uses character and it uses setting, again, two other key elements of narratives, to really help develop that subplot to build the narrative. Now, understanding that character development occurs during subplots is one of the most important aspects that you can understand. So, as you read through things like your novel, pay attention to what the main story is. So, for example, in the case of um, The Wanted Eye, the main story is Damon attempting to get to see his father in the Punic Wars, sorry, the Gallic Wars. In something like Elephant Run, the main story revolves around um, the arrival of um, the main character. Hang on a second, whose name I forget. Nick. Um, the arrival of Nick in Burma and his experiences on that plantation, the elephant teak plantation. The subplots of these stories incorporate a number of different things, and each subplot really helps to build not just the primary character, but the secondary characters around that primary character. Um, as we start to encounter secondary characters, so again, you've got your protagonist, who is your primary character, and your antagonist, who may or may not be a physical entity. Um, as you have those main characters, you also have the additional characters along the way. Now, those characters often help understand your main character. Um, the things they do may directly conflict with what the main character does. They may highlight the main character's behaviors by doing something completely opposite. In this case, this is called a foil character, a character who is placed into a story solely for the purpose of offsetting the primary character. It highlights how good the primary character is by showing how bad this other character is, or it highlights how straightforward this character is by highlighting how devious this other character is. So it really helps to develop an understanding of character. Subplot does this very effectively. Now, the subplot works within the context of the main story, and usually it will help bring in additional elements to make that initial story, that main plot, more interesting. Now, as you go through the novels that you're reading, I want you to try and identify elements of the main plot. And because it is a narrative that has more than one narrative line to it, I want you to identify subplots. Now, you can identify a subplot in exactly the same way as you can identify a main plot, in that you look for the character, you look for what experiences that character is going to go through. Do they have a conflict which is ultimately resolved? And does that tie up a loose end? If it has all of those things within the bigger story, you've got a subplot. Now, think about the characters in the book. Think about primary characters. Think about secondary characters. Now, Occasionally, a subplot can incorporate the main character. They can be doing a secondary event. They could be going somewhere else. It doesn't develop the main story, but they do a side quest, really, if you think about it in terms of um, online games or video games, things like that. It's like doing a side quest. It has a story in and of itself, but then the character comes back to the main storyline and completes the activity. Okay, so what I want you guys again to be doing is looking through your novel and identifying what are elements of the main plot and what are elements of the subplots. Okay, doing this is going to help you understand and analyze a novel or a short story with an understanding of plot, subplot, character, and setting. All right, over to you, grade 7. Good luck, and we'll see you soon.